Today we're diving into one of the most baffling and, frankly, one of the most incredible architectural achievements in all of human history, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela in Ethiopia.
So, let's just start with a really basic question. When you think about building something truly massive, something monumental, what comes to mind? You're probably thinking about stacking bricks, right? Raising beams, putting materials together piece by piece. But what if the real secret was the exact opposite?
And that is the beautiful paradox at the heart of Lalibela. These unbelievable churches weren't built up from the ground. No, they were revealed by carving down into it. This is a story about subtraction, not addition.
All right, so let's get into this vertical riddle. To really wrap our heads around how this was even possible, we first have to understand the absolutely unique challenge these builders set for themselves.
Here's the most important thing you have to understand. These aren't buildings made out of stone, they are the stone. Every single church is monolithic, which means it's one continuous piece of rock, literally excavated from the ground it sits in.
And this is the question that has just stumped historians and engineers for centuries. I mean, forget about cranes, forget about power tools. We are talking about a civilization back in the 12th century creating architectural perfection with the simplest hand tools imaginable. So how on earth did they pull it off?
Well, the answer lies in a completely different way of thinking about how to build something. You could almost call it architecture in reverse.
So instead of adding material to create a shape, the builders simply removed everything that wasn't that shape. It's like the church was already there, just hidden inside the mountain, and their job was just to set it free.
And the process itself was just as brilliant as it was methodical. First, they started at the very top, drawing an outline on the flat rock surface. Then they dug these enormous trenches all the way around it, creating a giant, freestanding block of stone. From there, they carved the roof and all the exterior details, always working their way from the top down, before finally punching through to hollow out the entire inside.
And if you want to see the stunning final product of this technique, look no further than the most iconic of them all, Beit Georgis, the Church of St. George. It is a perfect, three-tiered cross, just standing there in a deep courtyard, an absolute testament to their mastery.
To really get a grasp of the scale here, just picture a 4-story building. Now, imagine that entire building was excavated down into the earth. See, unlike a normal building you look up at, you actually approach this one from above, and the whole magnificent structure only reveals itself as you walk down into its courtyard.
The sheer amount of physical labor it's just staggering. For just one of these churches, workers had to chip away and haul out an estimated 200,000 tons of volcanic rock. Can you just imagine them working in these narrow trenches, removing all that stone with probably not much more than baskets and ropes? The effort is almost beyond comprehension.
But this wasn't just about hard work and muscle. You required a level of engineering foresight that is simply mind-blowing, especially when you realize there was absolutely no room for error.
Think about that for a second. In normal construction, if you make a mistake, you can fix it. You can replace a brick, you can recut a beam. But here, there were no second chances. One misplaced hit with a chisel, one tiny miscalculation on a load-bearing column, and the entire monolithic structure could have been ruined.
So these builders were up against two huge enemies. First, gravity itself. They had to make sure their carved creation wouldn't just collapse under its own massive weight. And second, water. The heavy seasonal rains in the Highlands could have easily flooded the courtyards, eroding the foundations and destroying everything.
But their solutions were nothing short of genius. They didn't build separate drainage systems, they carved them right into the bedrock itself. Gutters on the roof collect the rain, channels guide it down the walls, and ditches in the courtyard floor divert it safely away from the foundation. It was a masterclass in water management, all part of the original design.
But that brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? Why go through all this unbelievable effort? Well, the motivation wasn't just architectural, it was profoundly spiritual.
So the key context here is the 12th century. Pilgrimage to the actual Jerusalem had become incredibly difficult and dangerous for Christians. So in response, the devout king Lalibela decided to build a substitute, a new Jerusalem, right there on African soil, as a safe place for pilgrims. And incredibly, all 11 churches were supposedly finished in a miraculous 23 years.
And the very layout of the site reflects that vision.
The whole complex is a symbolic landscape. You have trenches that represent the River Jordan, and this whole web of dark underground tunnels connecting the churches, which lets pilgrims recreate sacred biblical journeys.
You know, the perfection and the sheer speed of the construction was so awe-inspiring that a powerful legend grew around it, one that people still tell today. The story goes that men would work all day, and then at night angels would descend and double their progress.
And that legend, in a way, points right to the heart of the matter, because even with all of our modern analysis, Lalibela still leaves us with a profound, unanswered question.
This right here is the ultimate mystery. No blueprints, no architectural plans of any kind have ever been found. So how did they visualize the entire finished church, inside and out, before they removed a single chip of stone? How did they maintain perfect symmetry and structural integrity from top to bottom with no external reference points?
And you know, Lalibela isn't entirely alone. It belongs to the special category of ancient marvels, like the Kailasa Temple in India or the walls of Sacsayhuaman in Peru, that just forced us to rethink what we thought ancient civilizations were capable of.
So, we'll end on this. What kind of mathematical, geological, or maybe even intuitive knowledge have we lost over the centuries? What do you think was the secret that allowed these ancient builders to look at a mountain and see a cathedral hiding inside, and then have the skill to actually set it free?